Doomsday 3.
Yeah, Doomsday 1.
He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix. Both of his friends.
You got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass involved. You better get involved.
I just gotta say, when it comes for Dallas Cowboys, well,
That's different. Had you stayed
For sure, they would have thrown it off because
and I go to bed every night like, Stevie G, man, I promise you that. What is up, Cowboys Nation? It's your boy Mike Tag here on a Sunday morning, just chilling. Figured, hey, not doing nothing yet. Dropping a video, hang with Cowboys Nation for a little bit. So just wanted to say appreciate all the support as always. Make sure if you guys are new to the channel, you hit that like and subscribe, share, all that kind of good stuff. And definitely appreciate all the support. We had a great week in the cave last week. Had Sherman Williams. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch that, make sure you check it out, man. It was some good stories. Talked a little bit about Bama and Miami, which didn't make me happy. I hate reliving that year and that season and that national title game, but it is what it is. I'm going to have to relive it one more time because we got the defender of the star, George T, coming into the cave next week on Wednesday night. So make sure you guys check that out too. But also got into what he's doing now. Talked a little bit about the Cowboys, and he shared some, to me, strong opinions on the Cowboys and where they're at, and with Dak Prescott, and where they're going to go. And and he had said his concern was in pressure situations. Felt like obviously Dak's got to get better in that area. So it's going to be an interesting season. And I said this week is kind of like the most important week. And just want to say, hey, what's up, Doug? Raymond, I see we got a lot of people in the cave. DC for life. Appreciate it, Bugsy, my man. How's it going? And Chris, yes, draft talk, the U. What is up, Suzanne? So it's, morning. I love when people hang in the morning, man, because either you just got done partying all night and you're in that half zombie stage, or you're refreshed and invigorated, ready to enjoy Sunday. Now, living in the Sunshine State, it's going to be hitting about 90. Was thinking about maybe should I take the wave runners out today or chill by the pool, but that's the beauty of living in Florida. So always take advantage of those opportunities. But yeah. So anyway, this week is critical to me for the Cowboys because it's really trying to figure out what direction is this team going. And you're starting to see a little bit more of it. I had a clip I played, and obviously it's been bouncing around, but I'll put it on there in case you haven't. I mean, this was Dak Prescott really talking about his future with or without the Cowboys, and does he have any concerns about his contract?
He said that eased my fears that my future is here.
Your fears?
Your fears.
I don't have any fears.
So you believe you'll be here forever playing based on your conversations with Jerry?
I'm not going to say I fear being here or not. I don't fear either situation. To be candid with you, I love this game and love to play and love to better myself as a player and my teammates around me. Right now it's with the Dallas Cowboys. It's where I want to be, and that's where I am, and that's the focus. And after the season, we'll see where we're at, and if the future holds that, then if not, we'll go from there.
And, you hear that, and my man Ultra, he's offering to drive Dak to the airport. Hey, we've got to appreciate that. At least he's going to get first-class service if he leaves. But all kidding aside, it's going to be an interesting time. You heard Stephen Jones kind of praising Trey Lance a little bit. And, my position has always been pretty consistent on it. I like Dak. I think Dak gives the team the best opportunity to win at quarterback. He's the best quarterback we have. But it's been 8 years. If it's time to move on, I just wish they'd rip the Band-Aid off. They would have tried to get something for him and move on. And maybe draft night, there's something there. Maybe there's something in the works. I don't know. It's very odd. The whole scenario has been very, very odd with the Cowboys. And, Troy Aikman, he kind of talked about it too. Let me see if I can get this up. Let's see if I can get this going here. And
by the lack of activity and the amount of their own free agents that you've allowed to leave at this stage?
I guess, I think that'd probably be fair. I thought they would have done something with Dak already. You guys follow it closer than I do. I don't know if they're going to or what the game plan is, but I know that everyone concluded a lot based on Jerry's comments in Mobile about being all in and what that might look like. So I think it's probably caught a lot of people by surprise. I don't sense that it caught the organization by surprise.
Have you been a little surprised?
And let me remove that. Get that. Stop share. So the interesting thing there is what Troy Aikman said. Didn't catch the organization by surprise. So obviously, he feels they were well aware of what they're doing. And again, it's not the people leaving, it's just the lack of people coming in. But getting back to Dak Prescott, I mean, to me, if you're going to move on for him, try and get something for him. And the way it's being set up now, unless they might have some up their sleeve. That's why I said this week's going to tell you a lot. I think it's going to tell you a lot in the draft, but it may tell you a lot about the future of Dak Prescott. Try and get something. You can't tell me that he doesn't have value. Can't tell me that you couldn't trade him to another team, even with his no trade clause. If you just had a heart-to-heart with him and said, look, man, it's been 8 years. We appreciate everything you've done for the Cowboys. It's just we got to go in another direction. Then so be it. I wouldn't have an issue with that. I'd rather do that. I just don't want to go into a season where he's on his last year of his contract and then you're just kind of up, you're hanging out in limbo. I'd rather rip the Band-Aid off. If Trey Lance is your guy, let's see what he's got, man. See what he was a top 5 pick, top 3 pick. San Francisco gave a I don't want to say king's ransom, but pretty damn close to move up and get him. And everyone respects Shanahan as being a quarterback guru. So, obviously they had to have seen something in him. Health has been his biggest problem, which obviously that doesn't bode well in the NFL if you can't be on the field. But I just don't know what the hell's going on, man. And it's confusing to me just the way things are being handled. And again, the draft is going to be critical because they've lost all these guys and they got to replace them. And they've got to replace them with some young players, and they got to hit home runs, at least triples, maybe a couple doubles. But if they have a draft like they did last season where they didn't get the impact, again, some of it no fault. Overshown, he showed some promise. He gets hurt. Schoonmaker, I still don't understand drafting a tight end in the second round. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe they weren't sure what Ferguson was going to be, but now Ferguson's kind of showing that he can be the man. So that was kind of like a draft pick that's, you could have probably found more value in something else. Mozzie Smith, the jury's still out. I'm not gonna say he's a bust or anything like that. Defensive tackles, it's never a glam position. We're really going to need him. You want to talk about someone stepping up. We're going to need him to step up big time because the interior of our defense is thin, and we're going to have to do something there. So this draft is just so critical because of the mistake. I don't know, the lack of free agents that they added. They add Royce Freeman at running back. I guess. It's kind of like the Ronald Jones, pick of last year. He'll probably won't even be on the team. It's kind of maybe that in case of emergency, break class. So we'll see what happens. So poise in a pocket. No, Arch Manning, he's got the bloodline. So it'll be pretty damn hard for him not to be successful. The thing is, in order for the Cowboys to ever really draft a quarterback without giving a ransom to trade up, is they're going to have to suck really bad. And that's still, no guarantee depending on the quarterback class. And this team is not. Like I've heard people say, oh, well, this team's not going to win, 5 or 6 games. This team's going to be in the playoffs. This team's going to be in the playoffs. In my opinion, they'd be in the playoffs with Dak Prescott or Trey Lance because I think there's just enough talent around them. And if they had a strong draft, I think they'd have a shot to play. Now, would they do anything in playoffs? That remains to be seen. I don't know. Maybe the philosophy of the Joneses is, hey, let's go ahead and let's put the pressure on all these guys. Let's put the pressure on Dak. Let's put the pressure on obviously McCarthy. Let's put the pressure on CD. Let's put the pressure on all these guys and let's see what they got. And if they don't, blow the shit up. Maybe that's their thought. And if it is, okay, hey, they own the team. They can do what they want. But I can't believe that this team won 12 games 3 years in a row, and there's just this much chaos and turmoil. You think you'd be kind of trying to find the spots where you're hurt and address them. And what's up, Steven? Appreciate you hanging with me in the morning. So we will we're gonna maybe we're not gonna figure this out today. We're gonna figure it out on a Sunday, but I think by Saturday we're gonna have a pretty good feel of where this team is, and is there some hope, or is it doom and gloom, which I'm seeing all over Twitter all the time. So I kind of got to stay back from social media sometimes, because it is like the world's ending for Cowboys fans. I'm not there yet. I'm just going to wait. Like I said, I'm going to wait and see. The Super Bowl is not decided in April, but you can lose it in this time frame if you don't start doing something about it. But I don't know if you're necessarily going to decide the Super Bowl champion this year. So, hey, what's up? Another mic to a mic. What's going on? Good morning. Appreciate you hanging. And Jerry will never let the Cowboys tank a season to get no. And I mean, the only way they would do it is if they obviously catastrophic injuries. If they really dumped all their quarterbacks and went with Rush or something like that, just really said we're going to just get our ass kicked. But I don't see that happening. So this team, and that's where you look at it, like, Sherman kind of talked about it Thursday. It's not like this team has been terrible. I mean, I would bet you the last 20 years, their regular season record is probably top 5, top 7 in the NFL. It's just they can't win in the postseason. And a lot of people throw it on Dak, and he gets his share of the blame. But I got a lot of blame that I can throw around. And it's been getting close to 30 years. Dak Prescott hadn't been the quarterback in 30 years. So you had the same thing with Romo. He couldn't win the big game, right? I guess we won't even mention Quincy Carter because that's not really fair. So it's really Romo and Dak Prescott. There's only a couple common denominators, and that's the Joneses. And that's kind of the philosophy of what they're doing. So, or the culture that they create. So I don't know. I mean, it's really just one of those things that's just puzzling. And this too. Yeah, Dobbins is out there. Now, Dobbins is, he's coming off an injury, but for what you could have signed him for as an emergency running back, I would have much rather grabbed him than a guy that's averaging under 3 yards a carry 2 of the last 3 seasons and really has been nothing more than a slight role player. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Last one, the Jones are thinking Cooper Rush went 5-1 with lesser weapons than Dak. You have to remember the most important thing. That defense played absolutely lights out. Go look at the stat. I was there. The defense, for whatever reason, now maybe it was the pressure that, hey, we got a whole team. The defense played like I've never seen them play. And if you watch Cooper Rush, he got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse every single game. Now, could they play with a lesser quarterback and win? Sure. Not Cooper Rush. Maybe Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance, if healthy, does have some skills. Like I said, you're talking about a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, and they show the stats of quarterbacks winning Super Bowls and what round they're drafted and this and that. So he is a first-round draft pick. The Cowboys haven't had a first-round draft pick quarterback since Aikman and Walsh. I mean, you're going back almost 30 years. So I think there's something to be said, and maybe what the Joneses are seeing is saying, hey, we can maybe get Trey Lance to sign for a lesser deal than what Dak is getting because he's unproven. Maybe they can get him on a 3-year deal or whatever it is, and then kind of like what they did with, less than even like Baker Mayfield got, and try and get some stuff around them. But here's the problem. They had Dak on a rookie deal. They had CD on a rookie deal. They had Micah on a rookie. They had all these guys on rookie deals and did nothing to try and go all in, like you say, and grab some key free agents, not all big name, not all high price guys, but key free, and really go all in and go for the win. They made bad decisions, right? You can look back at the Zeke contract. They forced, Zeke forced their hands, and you never hate a guy for leveraging anything he could, but they were so dependent on Zeke because the running game was so important that they had to pay him. They had to, because there was either that or your season's going to be, and I don't want to say turmoil, but it would have been a definitely lost season, and they felt like they had that shot. So they did pay the price for it. And that's a tough thing with running backs, is just the longevity of a running back. It's just so hard for them to get paid. That's why you see these guys getting these deals. So that's it just puzzles me why the Cowboys didn't get a veteran running back as one of those guys that they can count on. But now they're forced to draft a running back. They got to get a right. If they don't get a running back, it's going to be trouble. And I'm just being honest. So hopefully I'm not going to have to defend myself and try and get myself hyped up again. But I don't know what they're going to do if they don't draft a running back. They got to get a running back, and they got to get a good running back, and they got to hit with that running back. That running back has got to be able to produce. So it's interesting. I'm surprised both Trey Lance and Cooper Rush are still there. They should have traded one of them. Cooper Rush has no value. Trey Lance probably has a little bit of value to a team, but it's not much because there's really just been no games on Trey. And I just think that if they're going to probably play him a lot in preseason, they're going to get him going. I think Cooper Rush will be eventually, he'll probably be the odd man out. And if they see a lot of good things from Trey Lance in the preseason, that's where it's going to get funky, because you're going to have some weird situations. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah. And Dak choked 9 All-Pros, but Dak is the one who choked. Not the defense that gave up 40-something points. They didn't choke. The one quarterback did. The one quarterback's the one who choked. That's why it's hard for me to accept that. Now, Ultra, if you would have said, hey, we got problems on this whole team. The team choked. This team has been constantly underperforming. The team has been constantly underperforming. But when you continue to put it on one player, I can't buy it. I can't buy it, because I could show you all the games that he did play well and lose. And I guess that's his fault too. So that's my part. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mike. Dan Quinn choked. The defense choked. The offense choked. The coaching staff choked. The ownership choked. Every single one of them choked. They overlooked them. The players were cocky. You saw it. I hate to keep talking about that damn playoff game, but it was, let's punch these front runners right in the mouth, and that's what they did. And the Cowboys had no answer. They were the bully that you had as a kid. That all you get to do is stand up, knock his ass, give him one good punch, and he goes crying away to his mom. That's what the Cowboys ultimately were in that game. And they were planning the trips. Troy Aikman talked about it. He had cleared his schedule to go to San Francisco. He thought they'd be in the championship game. I'm just as guilty of it too. I'll take my share of it. I didn't go to that game because I said I have 2 games. I have 1 game I can go to. I got to pick one. And I'm like, you know what? They're going to beat Green Bay. I want to be in that divisional game at home. So I sold the Green Bay tickets to help pay for that next week. That next week never came. Only positive thing is I got some money out of those tickets. But so the fans were guilty. All of us were guilty of it. But the Cowboys, ultimately, they're the ones on the field. And we had a right to be confident. We won 15 games at home. We're playing a team that squeaked into the playoffs. We're playing a team with a quarterback making his first playoff start, a young team, no receivers of any threat. Defense that was okay, so that was the part that we all got duped, and the Cowboys ultimately, sucks. What about the defense? Give up 19 to the 49ers. Yeah. And I would say on that one too, they did. They played well. And the defense, what happened? You can point to Trayvon Diggs. Why didn't he lay Kittle out? That was the only thing that their offense did. So what about all the points that Dak Prescott put up against the Green Bay Packers his rookie season? What about the points he put up against the Rams and played well, and our defense got shredded for over 200 yards to some fat, washed-up running back? I mean, that was Dak Prescott's fault too. I mean, give me a break. They lost to the 49ers, which were a better team. I mean, sometimes that's what happens. They're at San Francisco. They lost to a better team. It was a defensive struggle. The defense played well, but the defense gave up one big play. That's not saying it choked. I don't think that game was a choke. I just think that it was two good defensive teams and one mistake either way, and that's what happens. I mean, everyone uses the word choke if you lose. Sometimes you just lose to a better team. Choking is losing at home to the Green Bay Packers. That's a team choke. Losing to San Francisco on the road to a better team, I don't call it choke. That's just me. When I played sports, if I lost to a better person on a wrestling mat or lost to a better team on the field, I didn't say, well, I choked. I lost. Got to figure out how to get better. I mean, that's the thing with these fans. They use the word choke for anything. If you lose, choke. This choke, they choke. That ain't how it works, man. The other team gets paid to win as well. You know, choking is losing the game that you shouldn't lose. I mean, what was the spread in the San Francisco game? I sure know the hell they weren't favorites. So anyway, but it is what it is. And where the Cowboys go from here, the draft is going to be critical. You know, do they go offensive line? I mean, I keep hearing the center. Maybe they trade. I wouldn't mind trading back. I don't know about you guys. I wouldn't mind trading back, get a couple more picks. I think there's some talent in this draft. There's, you know, you're probably 3 to 4 rounds where you can get, you know, starters and impact guys. So I would look maybe to trade back. And if the offensive lineman, you know, the center from Oregon's there, fine. But I'm not as crazy concerned about the offensive line as I am the defense. The defense is where my concerns are. And hopefully Zimmer's scheme and what he can do and he can impact, maybe he can get that thing rolling. But we'll see. We'll see. Aaron Jones ran all over us. Yes, he sure did. He always runs all over us. He always runs it. And that was and I'm glad that was the worst. I didn't even say worst loss in Cowboys history. The Cowboys, everything they had going. And that's the thing. It's not like it wasn't the worst beating. I mean, you can go back to the Bears, right? 44-0 against the 85 Bears defense. And that was probably the worst beating that I can ever remember. They had a bad loss in the playoffs against the Rams with Eric Dickerson. I think he ran for like 200 and change, setting a playoff record. That was a bad loss. This loss was bad for the reasons that I said. That's why it's the worst. So much optimism, so much hope on all levels. Team was playing good. They had, you know, talent on both. The defense was, you know, we thought was there. They were a little fraud against better teams. We thought the offense was surviving, but I said the running game was going to come back and bite them in the ass, and it did. The lack of running game, but yeah, it was definitely tough. It was definitely tough. So let's see. Thank God I hardly run into Dak. I mean, God, it's like if you aren't 100% critical of a player, you're like their fanboy. Didn't I just say that they can move on from it? Wouldn't bother me. God, Ultra, you always get me in the morning. I know you're doing it. You're just doing it to aggravate me, but I love you. I know you're doing it to aggravate me. Yeah, I'd love to trade back and get solid players on day 2. I mean, definitely, yep. Trading back, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. And like I said, there's some guys. The one guy that I'm telling you, and I know they won't draft him, but he's from the U. Cam Kitchens. I would get Cam Kitchens, the safety out of Miami. He's just a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk, and he's always around the football. And I think you need those kind of guys on defense. And so not going to happen. I think they're happy with their safeties, which I think our safeties are okay. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think I'd love to see him get interior defense. And I know they're like, oh, we got Mozzie. We don't do that again. I'd like them to see you get a defensive tackle early, maybe an edge guy. Linebacker, obviously Cooper from A&M is someone I like, and then running back is the key. Is the draft? Are they going to get a run on running backs? No pun intended. Early, which could put them into a forced situation where they're going to have to go higher than maybe they want. You know, there's some rumors that they go get Brooks from Texas. I think he's a really solid running back. Obviously, coming off an injury kind of scares you. I don't want to have, get PTSD on injuries, because we always seem to get a guy that's injured or has some injury history, and it never seems to work out long term in the NFL for him. But do they go get him in the second round? But if you don't, is Trey Benson going to be there when you pick in the third round? I don't think you can go past 3. Now, some say you can go to 4, but you don't have a 4. But if they get a 4, then they can maybe dip into the 4th. And you got the kid from Wisconsin. Maybe the Oregon kid may be gone, but maybe there'll be someone there in the 4th round if you kind of trade back. So, so that's kind of see what happens. Favorite offense and defensive player? Well, my favorite on defense is Kitchens from Miami, but he's not the best player in the draft, but he's one of my favorites. The other thing I would love to see us is get if one of those wide receivers were to fall. Now, my favorite offensive guy is Harrison Jr., but I mean, we're not going to get him. But if one of those receivers fall, I wouldn't be opposed to taking one of them with your first pick. I think it's just another weapon. And let's say, hey, at the end of the day, this is a offensive league. So you've got to put up points. So I get that, but we got to stop too. I mean, defense wins championships. The Chiefs kind of proved that in the Super Bowl, where they defense held everything together. And that's what the Cowboys haven't been able to do. The defense if the offense ain't hot, the defense kind of sputters. And it's never been the other way around, except in the San Francisco game, the last playoff game that was pointed out. So it's interesting, but again, appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. Make sure you guys, again, I always say it. I always hate saying it, but if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe, like, share. We've got a lot of great things going on in the cave. We got George T coming up on Wednesday. We're going to do a live draft, kind of hang out. We're going to open it up so the people who like to talk shit, you can live stream right into us, and you can tell us how you really feel, and there's nothing we can do about it. We got to listen to you. So we're going to set that up and hopefully have some fun, because the first round's obviously it's like 3 hours or something. You don't want to hear me talking for 3 hours. So we're going to have some guests coming in and have a good time. Like I said, I know this may not be the year for it, so maybe it'll be next year. But once we get to 5,000 subscribers, we're doing a giveaway for 2 of my club seats to AT&T. If it's done before the season, we'll do the drawing then. If not, then it'll be into next season. So make sure, if you guys aren't subscribed yet, and we get so many on Twitter, and I got live streaming on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Get on over to YouTube. Won't even take you a second. I'll even pause for you if you want to do it real quick. Go over to YouTube and hit subscribe. Click that button. Hit the bell for an alert, because we do drop some stuff. So Jalen Wright. I mean, the running back, I think, are deep. I think running backs are deep, but you just wonder how, where's that cutoff? Is it going to be the 3rd round, 4th round, where you're like, man, it's like, I just don't know. You don't want to wait too long. I say give Trey Lance a chance to be a starter. I mean, at this point, if that's what the Cowboys are going to do, then, like I said, man, I just wish they would just rip the Band-Aid off and make it happen, and move on. And, let's just do it. I don't want things in limbo. I want everything to be clear. Now, if they end up signing Dak to an extension, great. I'm all in, man. I love it. Good. If they don't, then just try and move them. And there's rumors of draft day trades. And I don't, it's all, a lot of it's bullshit, but like the Raiders, maybe that would be a team that you could see, with Dak Prescott, if they were going to trade. Yes. Kitchens is, he's a badass, man. He's a badass. Yeah. Xavier Leggett. No, another. I mean, there's definitely some good talent in this draft. Penix, that's the wild card pick right there. He's from Tampa. So he's from my town, and he's one of those guys. Do you draft a quarterback? Would the Cowboys pull a trigger on a quarterback? That would be some crazy stuff. I don't think they will. They kind of talked about it, and they look at Trey Lance as their draft pick, a quarterback, right? Because they gave up that 4th round pick for him. But Penix he's one of those guys, man. He's a good quarterback. He's a leader. They talk about injuries with him, but I mean, that was a few years ago. He's been good, so I don't really worry so much about that. Trey Lance season. Well, it's always, I know that's an Eagle fan. He's hoping for that. careful what you wish for, except if you, even an Eagle fan, this dude may come out and light it up. You just don't know if they do. Yes, get to that 5,000 subscribers, and we're gonna have a blowout party, and we're gonna be giving away some club seats to the Cowboys. So you can hang with me. You know, you get 2 of them, so you can say, hey, Mike, if you win it, say, hey, I'm telling you, I want to take Mike Tag to the game with it. I want you to be my guest at the game. I'll definitely do it, or Kelly or Jimmy or one of the crew, or you tell us all to go to hell and bring who the hell you want. Just don't sell them. I mean, I guess I'll never know, but just don't do that. So the point of it is hopefully you guys go to enjoy it because it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Allen's another one. Now, see that with Allen, are you reaching in the 3rd round? Because he's projected a little bit lower, but if you don't have a 4th round pick and you really like Allen, then you got to go ahead and make that move unless you can do some trading down. So I'm hoping the Cowboys are old school Jimmy Johnson era where they just are wheeling and dealing in the draft and loading up picks and getting some talent, because they've got a lot of holes to fill with depth, but also a few holes to fill with starters and impact players. So this is a draft that they can do it. I just hope that they can't screw it up. And Will McClay's always been pretty solid in the draft, so I feel okay, but you just never know. 1st round pick, I like to see draft JPJ. Now, and I tell you, the center, my man Bobby's probably might figure this out this season. The center, sometimes that's such a critical position. And with the Eagles losing Kelsey, it's going to be interesting to see how that offensive line is. We saw when Frederick got hurt and he ended up, his career was cut short, it definitely made a difference, for this offensive line. It never was to the level when Frederick was there. Center is kind of like the quarterback of the line. So it's, if they went out and got him, I got no arguments. I like Hoffman. I think he's got some potential. And I think there's other needs that are more important. And I'm not saying that it's like the line's not important. I just think what we have, again, depth would be a problem if one of the guys got hurt. I think we've got a pretty solid offensive line that we can address some needs in the other areas. And if that, were to happen, I think our line can hold up. I mean, we've had the Great Wall, right? We've had this great offensive line for, 15 years off and on, maybe for 20 years off and on, and it really hasn't gotten us anywhere. So, you see the Chiefs, you see some of these other teams play with an okay offensive line or just a good offensive line. I think for them, it's really continuity. We had Kevin Gogan from the Great Wall on, and, we talked about it. And people just seem to forget, or maybe they're too young and they're like, the Cowboys had the greatest offensive line in the history of the NFL. Like they were all a bunch of 1st round draft picks. There weren't any. I mean, 2A was I'm trying to think. He was really late. That's back when they had 14 rounds. So he was late. Gogan, I think, was a 7th or 8th round draft pick. Newton was like a 7th or 8th round draft pick. I think 2A was a defensive tackle. He was drafted as a defensive lineman. Ended up being a great right tackle for us. But that was the same line in the 86, 87. Those guys were there. The big difference for them was coaching. I mean, that's what Gogan accredited to that line. I mean, Stepnoski was a 3rd round, right? 2nd or 3rd round, I think, or 2nd, one of the 2. I'm getting old. And then you had Eric Williams, I know, was a 3rd round. So it's not like you were littered with 1st round draft picks, but what they did is they had really good coaching, and they just had a lot of continuity. They were all there. They were all healthy. They were all, they were able to grow together. So, I mean, when you look at a Hoffman, you look at Bash, you look at Tyler, those are 3 really young guys. Steele is the wild card. You got to see what he's got. You got Martin as the wily veteran, but you don't know how many more years he has left. So you have an opportunity with 3 to 4, if you throw Steele in there, really young guys. You can throw Richards in there. You've got, got a few other guys, in that offensive line on depth wise that you can really get something going and just build the continuity there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What did my man Bobby say? Yeah, but we did draft his placement Juergens 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Kelsey's Kelsey. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting with the Eagles and Seattle. Now they've got a solid offensive line. So I don't think they're going to fall off the map. But you did see a little bit of drop off with Frederick. That's the point. Frazier from West Virginia, I don't know him that well, so I don't want to comment on it. But I'll trust you guys if you think he's a guy that they can get. But when I see injured, that always scares me. The injury word scares me right now because we don't have time for hopes. We don't have time for rehab. We need guys that are going to come in and make an impact right away, especially the first 3 to 4 picks. We need something that's we need someone's going to help because you lost, Dorrance Armstrong. I mean, he had some sacks, limited snaps. I mean, he's a guy that you're gonna have to replace. Hankins, you're gonna have to replace that body. And again, hopefully with the scheme, that's going to make a big difference. You got, LV's gone. You got to get some linebackers. You got to get a linebacker. Cornerbacks are good, but if they don't bring Gilmore back, you're probably going to need to get another cornerback unless Eric Scott is a young guy that can step up, from the that rookie class last year. Maybe another year for him is going to be where it's at. So it's, there's a lot of things that got to happen. And they cannot make mistakes. And Sam Williams, Sam Williams hurt my feelings because I had a lot of hopes. And if you watched our show, if you've been a religious fan of the show and you saw last year, he was my breakout guy. Beginning of the season, we always do a show and who's your breakout offensive guy, defensive guy. And he was the guy that had 10 plus sacks. I thought he was going to be a huge impact on the defense. He was going to kind of emerge as that pass rusher opposite of Parsons, and it didn't happen. And he never got on the field. He got in the doghouse, whatever it was, and then he throws that, party, post-game party after the playoffs before the game even started. That kind of rubs me the wrong way, only because it just solidified that the team was not focused, and it solidified that maybe they were looking ahead. And that's when you do that, bad things are going to happen. And unfortunately, bad things happen. Kitchens and defense, Cooper. Yeah, you think Cooper's going to be a first round pick? See, I think the Cowboys can get him in the second. I think he's going to be there. But again, a lot of drafts, I mean, you see it, they don't value linebackers early a lot. So I think Cooper could be there. I think he will be there in a second. And I mean, depending on what they do, I would go get him. I would go get him unless something crazy happens. The draft is always cool because you're going to have those guys that fall. You're going to have the runs. It's just like the running back. No one thought Bijan was going to go top 8, and he ends up going. And then you got the Alabama running back. I forgot his damn name. Gibbs. And then he ends up going to Detroit. What, like 10 or 12 or whatever it was. So you just don't know how the draft is going to happen because I think a lot of teams, they see that run on cornerback. Then everyone, hey, we can't wait. We got to jump on that cornerback. Or you see a run here or there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the draft goes. But people always slip. There's always going to be guys that slip. And sometimes those are the great guys that, that have a chip on their shoulder, that always remembered, hey, I didn't get picked or something like that. I didn't go where I needed to. I don't see the Cowboys trading up. I'd be surprised if they're trading up. Then I think I think Dak Prescott might be involved in one of those trades if they end up moving up or something like that. That would be interesting. I hope Zimmer. That's your point. The mentality. Zimmer don't mess around. He's old school. He's going to call you out. He's going to get in your face. He's going to demand, everything you got. So, I think Zimmer could be the best, best medicine and best situation for Sam Williams to push him because he's got a lot of potential. And hopefully maybe some of these other guys. I mean, Damone Clark, we're going to need him to really, really come up big. You got Overshown. He likes to blitz a lot from the safety. So Donovan Wilson, I mean, that would be perfect for him because he's a physical linebacker, line of scrimmage guy, and he's one of those guys where I think if you blitzed him, it could even help even more in his value and what he could be to this team. So I think there's a lot of and Sims cautious. I mean, that's just one of those. Yeah, no, I agree. Cooper, we talked about Edge and Cooper. Mozzie needs a step. They need to get some weight on him. And you had all the rumors of he lost weight. He was having some issues, so maybe he lost the weight, or they asked him to lose the weight. Dan Quinn maybe didn't put him in the best positions. Whatever it is, I think we need him to step up. It's going to be critical. When I think of good players falling, CeeDee Lamb, absolutely. That was like the perfect scenario. I mean, you think about when CeeDee Lamb fell, you think about, Des Bryant, when he fell, right to us. That's the situations that we want. Could have had Johnny Manziel fall to us. Thankfully, that's where I'll give Stephen Jones, if the rumors are true, some kudos to make sure that we didn't draft Manziel and we got Zach Martin. So, it could work good. It could work bad depending on what pick, who's making that pick. But definitely draft night's going to be good. And it's nice because it's kind of like, that's the real start of the season, right? Free agency, if you're a Cowboys fan, free agency don't mean shit to you because we don't do anything. So we're still talking about the past, and I'm sick of talking about the past. I want to talk about forward. So if we get some new guys on this team in the draft, now we got something that we can work with. Who's our running back? How do we address defense? Did we get a receiver? All these kind of things. That's what I'm looking forward to the draft. For me as a Cowboys fan, and hopefully you as a Cowboys fan, this is kind of like the start of the season. Now we got some toys. It's like Christmas. We get open up all the presents and see who we got wearing that star in their helmet. And hopefully there's some guys that we feel good about that can help us. Because the interesting thing, as bad as this offseason has looked, and the lack of movement, all of this and that, the thing I'll always tell you is look at Vegas. Vegas, they're not stupid. They know what the hell they're doing. And there's a reason why they put all those big buildings in there. Dallas is still favorite to win the East. Their over under on wins is 10.5, which that's either 11 they lose, 10 they win. This team winning 10 plus games, I mean, I'll take it. That's, so I don't know if it's as doom and gloom as everyone wants it out to be. Because, Vegas don't think with their heart. They think with their mind and wallet. So there's obviously something there with them that they see with this Dallas Cowboy team. The talent is still there. It'll be interesting. Reed Zimmer is working to get his weight back up. Good. No, that's definitely got to get that weight up, man, because he's strong. I didn't understand that whole thing. That's going to be the interesting one, Mike. And there very well could be a quarterback, whether they like him or not. I think, you got 6 quarterbacks that potentially can be in the first round. If one of them were to fall, if they really like them, it'd be interesting. I don't think they'd do anything. I think what they could do is make a trade back. And if a quarterback's there, usually if it's a quarterback, teams will give more than what the score sheet says if it's to get a quarterback that they want. So that would be the interesting move for the Cowboys if there's a quarterback there. I don't think they take one because, again, they still go back to Trey Lance. But to me, you look at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears traded Fields. Why did they trade Fields? Well, either they didn't believe in him, which very well could be true, but they're going to get the first. They're drafting the first pick, and now they got a quarterback that has a 5-year deal rather than one that's got to renegotiate in a year. With the Cowboys, they've already said they're not picking up the 5th-year option for Trey Lance, so this is pretty much his last year too, unless they sign him to an extension after the season. So they can go get a first-round pick, and they got him for 5 years. So there's something to be said with drafting a quarterback in the first round, and you've seen the Packers do it. You've seen some of these other teams. New England has did it in the past, even with Brady. I'm not opposed with drafting quarterbacks. Now, in this draft, don't know if I would if you're trying to put yourself in the best position to win this season, because I think they've got areas that they've got to address. Now, had they addressed them in the offseason, had they in free agency, had they gotten a defensive tackle, had they gotten maybe an offensive line, had they gotten a running back, had they gotten it, then you're like, you know what? This is a draft of luxury, not necessity. and you could do that. But I just don't know if you're trying to win now, I don't know if that's the best opportunity to get it. We'll see. It's gonna be the Eagles and the Cowboys. It's gonna come down to that. And I've always, as much as I knock the Eagles and have fun with them, I do give their organization a lot of credit. They don't have the drama that Dallas does. I mean, it's business, and Jerry, it should be business too. But the Eagles went and signed their guys. They extended the guys they wanted. They picked up some free agents in areas that they saw deficiency. So you have to give them credit for that. They've worked the cap. I don't really hear much cap problems in Philadelphia, and they seem to sign their quarterback to that big extension. They got AJ Brown. They just re-signed Smith, and they picked up some free agents. So I give them credit as much as it pains me. Believe me, it pains me to say that. I will give them the credit, but I don't know if it's enough. And I think when all's said and done, if Dak Prescott's under center, I think he's the best quarterback in that division. And I think typically the best quarterback usually wins in the division. Usually. Things can happen, of course, but usually that's what happens. I think the Commanders. I still think the Commanders. I don't really see a lot in them. It's going to be interesting with Quinn. You got to remember with Quinn in Atlanta, I mean, their defense wasn't very good. They had a couple years where they're okay, but it wasn't like they had the Seattle defense in Atlanta. But go look at his offensive staff that he had in Atlanta. I mean, he had he had some damn good coordinators. Now he's got it was at Kingsbury from Arizona. I think he's the offensive coordinator, if my memory's right. So I mean, he's pretty good, but he had he had a staff. So I don't know how his staff looks. I know he got our man Ken Norton Jr.'s over there. Not happy about that, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, and Jalen Hurts, maybe he choked too, right? Didn't he choke away the Super Bowl? I mean, let's just be real with Jalen Hurts. They got smoked by Tampa in this first one. Got smoked by Tampa again. Smoked. Both games smoked. Let's be honest with that. Not even competitive. Smoked. I mean, got to agree with that, Bobby. They beat a Giants team with Daniel Jones at quarterback, and they beat a running back for San Francisco playing quarterback. So let's pump the brakes on Jalen Hurts being this unbelievable quarterback who performs so well in the big games. Ass whooping against Baker Mayfield, right? Let's just call it for what it is. Calm down, Bobby. Don't get me going. But anyway, so anyway, we'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good time. And tush push. That's right. That's what could be interesting without Kelsey. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they do. But it's going to be a fun year. I expect it to be, I expect to be competitive. I expect to be a lot of talking. We're playing the Ravens. That'll be a fun game. We got the Bengals. I mean, you got Steelers, the old rivalry. I had as easily top 5, maybe top 2 rival in Cowboys history. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, got to go up to Pittsburgh, but that game's always, when you see the Cowboy and the Steeler helmet, clashing, it always brings back great memories. So, but anyway, so our team fell apart. No defense. I know. Hey, yeah. Of course, you can make excuses. I'm not allowed to make excuses. Eagles can make excuses. It's not all your quarterback's fault. That's why I give you credit. See, the Eagle fans, they didn't throw it all on Jalen Hurts. The man said the defense fell apart. The whole team fell apart. That's what happened. So when you say choke in the playoffs, understand, why does it work for one and not the other? It's a team game. The quarterback, like Sherman Williams said, and I respect it, the quarterback is the most important position on the field. The team feeds off him, and he did not get off to a very good start. Now they ended up with 30-something points, so garbage time, whatever way you want to call it, but our defense couldn't stop anything. And every time we got like a glimmer of hope, they went down and scored again. So that's why I say you can't throw it on. You can't throw this on one play. If we would have threw 5 or 6 picks in the game or something like that, then I would have said it. Or if our defense played tight and they did nothing, I would say it. But nothing started. The defense started like shit from the get-go. So it definitely was a team loss. We want to be able to push teams back 2 yards at will. Well, to do that, we need to get some big dudes. We need some hogs, but we need to get some guys on defense that are going to control the line of scrimmage. And that's why I say this draft is going to be important. Can't wait for the draft. How about us drafting James Williams? See, I would like him too. Later rounds from the U, he would be another guy. He's not a Cam's level, but he is a hitting safety, has a nose for the football, and just not because I got the U there. Where's that? There it is. Cuts by Jones. Give him some love. Cuts by Jones sent me that U just because I'm a fan of the U. Go back in your history books, ladies and gentlemen, and go look at the Cowboys teams when they were dominant. They were littered with Miami Hurricanes. That's just the way it was. That was the way it was. There's a mentality from the 305 when they get in the NFL. I mean, you look at them. So I'm just saying is go out and get a couple Miami Hurricanes, get on this team and get that swag back because that's what the Cowboys need to get, man. That's what they need to get. So, Jalen is just, he didn't play well. I mean, it was a team thing. But I wonder on Philly. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the coach. I don't know that whole offensive coordinator thing and everything that happened. I just didn't understand why they ran the offense that they did. Now they got Kellen Moore. Good luck with that one. Good for us, bad for you. But yeah, I mean the Eagles have the talent. They're almost like the Cowboys, and both teams are very, very talented. The Cowboys just seem to have some issues in critical games, and the Eagles, I don't know about their coaching. I just don't know if they've got the coaching to get it done. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Kellen Moore, not good. I was glad to see him go. So anyway, hey, Cowboys Nation, I just wanted to chill with you guys again. Make sure you check out. We got some great shows coming up. Appreciate all the support. We got George Teague, Defender of the Star, another Bama guy coming into this cave, but he was a Cowboy. Both of them were Cowboys, so we always look past that. I just got to, I got to think back to the championship game where Miami was on a 29-game winning streak and they broke our hearts and let us down. But they didn't choke. They just got beat by Bama was the better team that day. That's what happens sometimes. But definitely going to be fun getting George Teague. Monday, we got Jimmy Dee and myself. We're going to do – Jimmy D's never done a mock draft, so we're going to do a mock draft, have some fun with it, get everything rolling. And then, like I said, Wednesday with George T, we talk a lot of Cowboys. And then Thursday, we are going to do our live show. And hopefully you guys, we want you to participate. Make sure your internet's good. Make sure you're all cleaned up, looking handsome or pretty, whichever way it is. And we want to see you in the cave. All you got to do is spend maybe 5 minutes, throw you on there, talk a little bit. Always good to put the face with the names. And then maybe get us ready. We got to start thinking about the Cowboys Cave tailgate party. We got to think about the road shows. We got to think about all this stuff. We got to get everything prepped up because if the Dallas Cowboys break our hearts, we got to do some drinking. We got to do some cooking. We got to do some partying because hanging with Cowboys Nation, that is to me the best part about anything with the Dallas Cowboys. And I sincerely mean that. That has been the best part is being able to make a lot of new friends, meet a lot of new people, and just make some great connections and just have a lot of fun enjoying it or drowning in the misery together. That's what we do. That's what Cowboys Nation is. And that's why in the one video, the last show I did live as a Cowboy fan, it's hard. We get a lot of shit talked about us. We get a lot of people always making comments, no matter they don't know us or whatever. You walk down the street, they always got something to say. Always got something to say about the Cowboys. So we're always on edge. We always got, that's why I say we always got a little anger in us, right? We got our fist up ready to roll because we know some people are going to be talking shit. So that's what it's all about. But again, I appreciate all the loyal people that always hanging out in the cave. And definitely please, if you're over on X, I see 125 plus of you over there, just take a minute. Stop what you're doing. Or all you got to do is go in my bio. The link is right there. Click that, hit subscribe, hit the alert bell. That way you know what's going on and you can be part of the show because we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. We're going to have a great time. And yes, the misery loves company. You guys know that very well for that Super Bowl that you guys have. It took you 50 something freaking years to get, and it's probably gonna take you 50 more. So my man Bobby, I don't know how old you are, but hopefully you're young enough to where you're gonna be able to see another one. I was thankful for these eyes and memory to see 3. So sometimes it's hard for me to really complain a lot, but I am going to complain because these Cowboys should be better. We should be getting that 6th. You understand that, Bobby? 6th Super Bowl championship. Not our 2nd. We're going after our 6th. Was that good? 6th. Say it one more time for you Eagle fans. So anyway, hey, having a good time. Appreciate all the love. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you guys love this. I love doing this. Like I tell people, it ain't for the money. I don't make money doing this. It costs me a lot of money to do this because I spend more and all this stuff because I got to do it right. That's the way I am. But you guys make it fun for me. And like I said, I love interacting with the fans. So the best way, if you want to show some love to me and the channel, is just go subscribe. And that's the easiest way to support the channel. Doesn't even cost you nothing. I ain't even asking for no money or nothing. So I appreciate it. Thanks for the love. You guys, let me leave you with this or get that. Have a good Sunday. Enjoy it. Hopefully the weather's good where you're at. I'll be maybe hanging on the beach. So I'll see you guys. Take care.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.